Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first Conscious Educator Playground podcast of 2023. Can you believe it, Sheba? Here we are.
I know.
A new year, I am in a new home.
Yay!
So many things this year. I think everyone's going into this year going, I'm not going to declare anything because, the last few years have been a hot mess crazy anytime we've declared things. So maybe we just don't do that. I think that this is a year to go, you know what? Let's focus on gratitude.
Let's just be thankful for
everyone. Don't make any big plans. Just hold tight. No, I'm kidding. If you want to make big plans, definitely go for it.
Yeah, we're all for big plans if that's your thing.
Absolutely. I am so grateful to be back after the holidays, and I am still in the middle of moving, hence the kind of abyss that I'm in right now. But I literally just a few hours ago started unpacking my office, and the fact that I have a dedicated office now is awesome. And I have a little reflection in the whiteboard behind me so I can kind of see myself. So I'm trying to block it with my head so that that's not super annoying for people to see the reflection of the reflection. But here we are. I have made it cross country for my move. All of my things are intact and attempting to get settled. I want to start this with just some immense gratitude for my sisters and my brothers-in-law, their husbands. I started calling them my sister husbands. Over the weekend, they literally came through for me, like, and again, we're close. We talk all the time. You all know, if you've been around me for any period of time, my older sister and I work together on a lot of different projects. My younger sister works with us as well, more behind the scenes. But to have the three of us and to have both of their husbands together over New Year's was super special. We haven't done that since Stacy and I lived together, and Stephanie came to visit right after I graduated from college. We lived together at the beach. And so then to have their husbands show up and also chip in, and I hired movers to move everything into the house, but then the fun work begins. They might not say it was fun. But I literally would not, I would have been sitting in the center of boxes with a very large beverage, crying and calling them. They've not been here to help me. Like, I have no idea what the state of things would be in my new home had they not been here to help me. And to be able to toast my new home in this cross-country move was just really special. And so, speaking of going into this year with gratitude, that is definitely where I am. And just feeling really blessed to be surrounded and supported by so many amazing humans. So
yeah, now it's always a blessing when you have just great people that you can call upon without feeling like you're being a burden, and they just show up, and then it's like, okay, this is what you need, we're just going to do it.
Yeah,
definitely a blessing, and you deserve it, Sandy. So
thank you.
Yay.
Thank you. Yeah, I made it. And I'll be back in Vegas in a couple of weeks to obviously visit my kiddo, but also to be able to work with the amazing educators that I'm still connected with out there, really moving their cultures forward and continuing that. And then I'm still doing work in Florida, and still, I just have to travel more, which is fine. I don't mind it, and I'm definitely grateful that I still get to do this work in the world. And really this new year for me means it almost like I'm reevaluating what January 1st means, right? Because so many people celebrate the new year. Different religions celebrate it differently. Different humans celebrate it differently. They pick a different day, not that they randomly pick a different day, but different days throughout the year, whether it's on the equinox or, different New Year's, and I don't want to list all of them. But whenever you choose to celebrate it, what does it mean for you? And more specifically, what does January 1st mean for you? Because for so many of us, especially in the Western world, it means launch out of the starting gate. Like, you better have your shit together and go. Right? And it feels like so much pressure. And so I've been processing this over the last few years. And last January, New Year's Eve, literally came down with COVID on New Year's Eve last year. And so I was forced to slow down and start the year slow. I kept trying to start it quickly. I kept trying to power through and push through and all the things. And I finally was in a meeting and just started crying to my team members. I'm like, I need to sleep so bad. And I keep trying. And they're like, oh my God, go rest. Like, please go heal. Stop trying to push yourself through COVID and actually let your body heal. And it gave me some time to process. And I really want to carry that lesson forward from here on out, for me personally, that this is still winter in the Northern Hemisphere. This is, and if we listen to the seasons and we listen to our bodies, and for me personally, and this may not be the same for everyone, it is still a time of slow and introspection and planning and very, very intentional. And before the spring is all about bloom and, more of the expansion and starting things then. And then summer is more fanning the flames and, revving things up. And then the fall is more of like, all right, let's make sure we have the deep rooted service and all of that happening. And then the winter is more like, let's kind of refine our systems and really create efficiencies. And it's really so it's not easy to do, because the world that we live in, the outside world, and especially the world of education, is like, oh my God, we only have, 5-6 months left to school. Like, let's hurry up. We got stuff to do. We have deadlines to hit. We have milestones to hit. We have achievement numbers to hit. We have, you better be ready the moment you jump back into the classroom to be sprinting with all of your students. I don't know if that serves all of us as humans. And it may for you, like whoever's listening. And if it does, and your nervous system is craving, get up and go, then roll with it. Don't do what my nervous system is telling me. That intuition, I think we often don't listen to. So I wanted to take today and really kind of dive into, what is that rhythm? How do you set your rhythm and then adjust as you flow through the year, versus being in this state of this perceived pressure? And sometimes it's very real for you, right? It's actual. People are standing at your door and expecting things, and you have deadlines and all of that. But Shiva, how do you set your rhythm? What do you listen to, and how do you really listen to your intuition and your students' intuition in what they need, and how they launch off into the world on January 1st, this self-imposed New Year's, right?
Well, yeah. So the district that I'm in now, the end of the semester isn't until after the new year. Okay. So I don't really think I go back in after the new year going, oh, we've got to do everything, because it's just a continuation of what was going on before the break.
Right.
So, but for me, in regard to a natural rhythm, I just do my best. And what I've learned as an educator who's been in the field for more than a decade is I start the year in August with just a framework of routine.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the framework. So that means when the students walk in the door, they know they have 5 minutes to complete, the warm-up activity. Then we're going to do, independent learning, or, whatever it is. So I'll set the framework up for that. Then, depending on the unit or whatever it is that we're doing, if I'm starting to see just through whatever assessment tools I'm using, whether that be observation, whether that be, looking at rubrics, or using rubrics to grade their writing, if I'm seeing that things aren't happening the way that I need them to do, I can adjust what we're doing within this very basic framework that I've set. So I can change a few things without the kids feeling like they're in a tailspin. And I think that has helped me a lot in the classroom with the outcomes that I get just with their learning and with behavior management as well. So if there's 4 things that I say, this is what's going to happen every day, regardless of how things are presented or maybe what activity we're doing, I think that that definitely helps to keep, well, to set the rhythm and to keep a sense of normality throughout the year.
That consistency.
Absolutely.
Huge.
And I think I'm a lot more consistent with my students than I am sometimes in my own life. My own personal life, that is, you know.
I think that's true for most people, right? Is that, oh, in work life, it's like all I's are dotted, T's are crossed for the most part, but then home life, you're like, why can't I do this here? Like, what's going on?
Yes. So I hope that answers that question, Sandy. But yeah, so that's how I just create the rhythm. I start with just a few set of routines, and then I just stick with that. And then there might be small variations depending on what the kiddos need.
Have you ever noticed, and I'm sure you do, that, and I hear this a lot in different schools from different educators, and it almost becomes interesting. It's like, oh, spring's here, the wheels are falling off the bus, or you know, we're coming up on Christmas break or winter break, and it's like, oh my God, they're getting squirrely again. Like, do you notice a certain energy from your students coming back in January? I know you've been back for a few days now.
Yes. Well, so I have to tell you what, my seniors, they are, first of all, my seniors are so cute. So like my first period class, like kids that had been late for, you know, most of the school year showed up on time, and they were like, it's a new me, I'm going to do better. And then they showed up again today on time. I was so proud of them. So, I know that senioritis is definitely going to hit in April. It always does.
It always does.
And well, and I so when we have these shifts, what I do is I put the planning in the hands of the kids. I'm like, okay, so these are the things that we have to do. We've got to write this paper. We have to finish this unit, you know, this reading unit. But maybe every, you know, Wednesday or Thursday, you all will be allowed to craft the curriculum. And maybe I'll give them, you know, 3 choices. Which one would you like to do? So I think that that's really helped me to keep the kids engaged, you know, after winter break, around spring, is just to really give them some choice.
Yeah.
And I feel like when they feel like they have some power in the classroom, that's how I can get that buy-in.
Yeah, that leads to connection.
Oh yeah.
Right. I mean, without that sense of power and control,
Sure.
right, we feel diminished, and we'll often go into an energy of fight or flight, which puts us into a blame-based state.
Right.
Where it's the fault of something other than us.
Right.
And in order to take radical responsibility for who we are and how we're showing up in the world, like, we need to have that sense of control and that sense of power. And one of the ways to do that, which you're articulating beautifully, is actually giving choice and being able to say, hey, here's what needs to get done.
Right.
We can do it this way or this way. And once a week, you get to choose from this list of options on what you complete. And I'm good with any of them. And it's like, you mean you want to hear me? You mean you really see me as an individual? You mean I can actually choose and create value in the world? I'm sure you see their faces light up. Like,
oh, they are so much fun. Well, I did film studies for the first time last year. And I asked the kids, I said, we have to have a end of unit assessment. And they chose to make their own, you know, 30-second to 1-minute films. And we set the ground rules out together. I'm like, okay, no one can, because I work on the 3rd floor. I'm like, no one can leave the 3rd floor. No one, you know, and the videos and the films, they were so much fun because the kids really felt like we helped to craft this. Well, at least the rules.
Yeah.
And, obviously there were certain parameters about what they needed to have in the films, and it was so great. And I had all of my students hand something in because they felt like they were a part of the curriculum.
Right. Right. And it's this, I use the phrase on purpose all the time.
Yeah.
And when we do things on purpose, when we lead our lives on purpose, and when we invite others to do things on purpose,
Sure.
and sometimes it's just a nudge of a choice, right? To create that intentionality, or the on purposeness, if that's a word. We'll make it up if it is.
It is a word.
you get your heart and your mind in sync.
Right.
And you light this fire that then allows you to create a rhythm. And us talking to Amelia for the holidays.
So good. Yeah.
And really looking at how she has taken her power back as a student, as a lifelong learner, and created a rhythm that works for her. She started talking about being a hot mess in terms of organization and things like that. And now she's found her rhythm. Yeah. So when we find our rhythm in any area of life, whether it's organization, whether it's energetically, whether it's in communication, whether it's in, our morning routine, whatever it is, we create that framework that you were alluding to before, right? And that gives us this consistency and this stability and it actually builds self-trust, because it means that we can count on something.
Sure.
It checks the box, as Brene Brown talks about. One of the pillars of the anatomy of trust is accountability.
Yeah.
And if I can count, right?
Sure.
That something is going to be there, that it's going to have that consistency. Now I'm building and growing not only self-trust, but relationship trust and team trust and culture trust.
Sure.
But if I don't know what I can count on, and I don't know what the rhythm is, I don't know what's expected of me or what I can expect,
sure,
then I'm all over the place and I feel no sense of control. This goes back to the science of happiness, and everything's willy-nilly and life is happening outside of me, and now I'm in blame. I have no power. Therefore, I'm never going to get to connection.
Right.
Right. And so if our true goal in our organizations, in our schools, in our homes is to create authentic, meaningful connections, in order for learning and growing and fun and play to happen,
sure,
then it's really important that we create that foundation of a rhythm that you create on purpose.
Yeah. Yeah.
And without that, we end up floundering, regardless of what that rhythm is. Like I was saying, whether you celebrate New Year's now, or whether you celebrate it on March 21st, or whenever the equinox is this year, just do it with intention.
Sure.
Create that sync for yourself that allows you to just be in this place of powerful intuitive wisdom. And I think we don't give ourselves, and especially our students, enough credit for that powerful intuitive wisdom that we have, and so do they. Talking to Amelia and really hearing her and seeing, hearing, and valuing our students is so vital. But the key to that is actually seeing and knowing that they have a powerful intuitive wisdom as well.
Absolutely.
Don't get me wrong. They're knuckleheads. They don't have their full frontal lobe yet. I get that. And there's something brilliant when you actually do give them that foundation of safety,
yes,
consistency and reliability, and knowing what rhythm they can count on.
Sure.
So I think that this is a topic I wanted to start this year with, because it does lay the foundation,
sure,
for how we create our cultures on purpose, regardless of what environment we're going into. Whether it's a culture of two people together, whether it's your own individual internal culture going on,
right,
with your itty bitty cheerleading committee, itty bitty shitty committee, like you probably have both, all the things, or whether it's with your students or with your colleagues, with your families, with your communities, with your boards that you sit on for your nonprofits. it's all the same information, just in a different context. And so tweak it to work for you. And, that's one of the things, Shiva, I'm so grateful to you for really kind of grounding it in the reality of how it works and why it works, and what we talk about. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. And I just want to say too, because not everyone is going to teach, high school like I do, or teach the way that I do. And I think when we're talking about rhythm too, sometimes that feels like it's in opposition to what our administrators might say about, well, you need to increase engagement, which can throw everyone into a tailspin, and that might knock an educator out of their rhythm. Yeah. So having been an instructional coach for 5 years, I will just say to teachers that are in the classroom, so let's just say you do math worksheets after lunch every day, but your administrators want to see engagement. You don't have to get rid of the worksheets, but maybe for questions 1 through 5, you're going to have students work in pairs. Maybe to switch things up at the end of the worksheet, you're going to have row 1 grade row 3's papers. So there's small things that we can do within our rhythm, with our routines, that are still going to be able to create that connection you were talking about, and then have that impact. So if an administrator does walk into the room, that engagement piece is still there.
Right.
Because I think sometimes it's like, okay, well, I have these routines, but they're saying they need to see, 89% of the students engaged 96% of the time, when we can just do simple things to maximize learning for our students without, throwing everything off track.
Yeah. Don't throw the baby out with bathwater. I mean,
please don't do that. That's a good baby.
That's a good baby. Don't throw out your baby. So important to realize that when you are being evaluated, when you are looking at growing and learning and improving, as we all are, none of us would be in the world of education if we didn't value lifelong learning.
Right.
And so looking in the mirror sometimes and going, okay, that's the feedback I got. Where is the 2% truth in that I can then just implement or integrate or look at how I'm doing something, maybe through a little bit of a different lens, versus letting your itty bitty shitty committee take over and tell you that everything you're doing is wrong, when that necessarily, isn't the case. More often than not, it's not. It's actually just, maybe it is. Just do a think, pair, share. Do it, there's ways to do something that's so simple.
Yes.
Bring crayons instead. I mean, that you can
wait, I have to tell you this. So when we had to do a new curriculum and my students hated it, I let them do the work in marker, and they worked so happily. Listen, I got pictures of puppies and kittens and, rainbows and sunshine, but they did the work. Sometimes it's just smart things, or not smart, but I guess it is smart, small things.
Yeah.
Listen, everyone, we're still going to do this, but I'm going to let you use the markers. And to see 15-year-old kids go crazy over using a marker to do their work. And it's like, look at us learning. And look at us doing what we're supposed to do. But the kids are having a different experience, and it works. Sometimes sometimes it's just those simple changes, Sandy.
So
simple
valuable.
things we can do. Yeah.
Yeah. So valuable. And remember that that's true in life.
Yeah.
Is when we start to feel the mundane, when we start to feel the I don't wanna, that resistance, right?
Yeah.
Shifting our rhythm can be as simple as just one little innovative way to do it.
Yeah.
And when you free yourself from your self-imposed restrictions of I can't, I'm feeling the pressure of all the things, take a breather, do whatever mindfulness practice you need to do, to go take a walk, go, listen to music, eat your favorite food, like whatever simple thing it is that shifts your brain chemistry to a more positive state, then go, how could I?
Right.
Instead of listing all the ways you can't,
Right.
ask yourself, how could you? How
Yeah,
could,
yeah.
and that's not a negative thing. Like how, not how could you? How could you make it work? You know, when would you want to try something new? What could be possible? You know, who could I connect with who might help me come up with an idea? We're not alone. We're in this together. And no matter what your rhythm is, no matter what your routines are, make sure you're doing it on purpose and do it for you. And then that will create the flow and the rhythm for everyone else around you. That's the key to it all, is make sure you're doing it for yourself first, because you matter. Sheba, thank you so much.
Thank you as always,
I
Sandy.
appreciate you. Thank you everyone for listening to the Conscious Educator Playground podcast. And we will see you next week. We will be doing our live recording again. And if you have missed any, definitely subscribe to our podcast. And we look forward to seeing you all soon. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. Bye-bye.